Year Freakout. There's really not much to freak out about because I haven't read a ton. Hello, and welcome back to Overbooked. I'm Amanda, and today we are gonna do my mid-year freakout tag. It is July, so we're a little behind, but you know, that is our brand here at Overbooked. Being behind, not keeping up with the latest reads, and really not being consistent about video uploads. So if that's what you're looking for in a booktube channel, subscribe. Here we are, we're gonna talk about the mid-year freakout tag. We're gonna do a little, you know what? We're just gonna put this hair up. You ever like, yeah, I think my hair could be cute down, and then you're just like, nope, it's not working. So it's not working, it's not working. We're gonna do the mid-year freakout tag. We have some questions in front of us, and we're gonna get started, okay? Number 1, the best book you've read so far in 2021. So I'm not gonna lie, I've read a ton of duds. Nothing this year that I've read really, well, besides this book that I'm gonna talk about, has blown me out of the water. So I'm really hoping the second half of the year picks up for me, and I'm gonna read some books that are just gonna be like, wow. But the best book I've read so far in 2021, hands down, is Cast by Isabel Wilkerson. And this is about the unspoken about or unacknowledged caste system in America. And it was just really good, really just like thought-provoking, really just like obviously well-researched and well put together. It compared the caste system in India and then the caste system in Nazi Germany to the caste system that exists in America. And it was just a really great like comparison, like structure that she had set up, and it was just so good. I already knew I was gonna love it because I loved Warmth with Other Suns that I technically finished this year as well, but I'm putting it in my 2020 reads, but it was just so good. Phenomenal. If you're looking for, you know, to continue reading, to expand your education, to expand your knowledge, I highly recommend both Warmth with Other Suns and Cast by Isabel Wilkerson. They were so good. I also put another book on here just as a little shout out because I also really enjoyed it, and I did not expect to enjoy it as much as I did. And it was Sharks, oh my God, I can't talk. Sharks in the Time of Saviors. And I read this because my friend Rachel told me to. We're supposed to buddy read it, but I'm a sneaky bitch, and I checked it out from the library before she even had it. I don't even know if she's read it yet. I really need to follow up with her. Rachel, if you're watching this, I'm sorry, girl. Sharks in the Time of Saviors. I can't remember what the author's name is at the top of my head, but I'll have the book here or here, so we'll reference it there. And it was actually just really good. It's about like this family who has a son, and he is like thrown off this boat, and instead of these sharks like attacking him, they like carry him to the boat back, like to safety. And it's after that, like, we're just like, everyone just thinks and assumes that this boy has magical powers, some sort of like mythical calling, and the boy thinks he does too. He has something going on. He can he's trying to harness what he can do, and like you get so many different perspectives from everybody else that's in the book. Like you get the perspectives from his siblings, the perspective from himself and his parents, and it was just really good. It kind of reminded me a little bit of a setup of like There, if you've read that, where you get the perspective of every single character, which I just love. I love seeing the full circle. All right, we gotta move on because that was only question 1, and according to my timer, we are at almost 5 minutes. So number 2, the best sequel that I've read in 2021. If you have ever seen any of my other mid-year freakout tags, I say this every single year. I don't read series, really. I'm not a big series fan. I don't go out of my way to read series. So the only thing that I really read this year that was a sequel was like a romance kind of series where you don't really need to read the sequel to understand what's going on, or the prequel or whatever. But I read Always Only You, but it was the sequel to Always Only Us? Only Us? But Always Only You was actually a really sweet romance book. It was really nice. I read it in the beginning of this year, which was just, romance really kind of helped me get through the pandemic. It's just a really light, breezy book. Like, it's happy. The characters are, you know, just so cute and like lovable. In this book, we have hockey star, fill-in character's name here, and then we have our love interest, the female love interest, and she is like the hockey team's I think social media manager or something, And of course, so they're not like allowed to date because they technically work together, but then, you know, yada, yada. I actually did a whole review on this book, so I will link that down below. And if you want to learn more about Always Only You, check that out. New release you haven't read but want to, which I'm actually currently reading right now, is I've been wanting to read The Prophets all year. I am so excited, and I'm reading it. So there it is. So in The Prophets right now, we're watching Isaiah and Samuel, who are two slaves and who are gay and in love with each other, struggle with one. I think like one of them is really struggling with that like kind of identity of like being gay and loving this man, but also just struggling with the acceptance of the other people on the plantation, and also trying to hide their love for each other to keep them safe. So it's a really, also just kind of like a really intense, but like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like just so like rooting for them, but also it's like, okay, we're in the Annabelle in the South. I don't know how this is gonna go. And then we also, and again, what I love to see is we're not just seeing Isaiah and Samuel's point of view, we're seeing every single character's point of view, which I just think, to all the authors out there, I think that just adds so much more depth to your story, because I'm just like, okay, this is what this person is thinking, and this is their motives behind their actions, and this just gives me so much more things to think about, and it's just, I love it. I love it. But yes, I love The Prophets so far, and this is a book I've definitely been waiting for since I heard every single Bookstagrammer talk about it. So, The Prophets by Robert Jones Jr. Most anticipated release for the second half of the year. So this is another question that I think I answer the same every single year. I'm pretty bad at keeping up with new releases. I'm pretty bad at staying up to date with what's coming out. So I actually have no clue. I'm drowning in the books that I want to read. Like this is my stack from the library right now, so I cannot keep up, and I am not doing well. I'm unwell, so I don't have an anticipated release for the second half of the year. Once people start posting books like over and over again, like people that I really admire and like look to for book recs, then I will like be like, oh frick, yes, I need to put that on my list. But I also haven't been really active on social media, so there's that. The biggest disappointment that I read this year, so I think there's two. So I read Magic Hour by Kristen Hanna, and that was recommended to me by my friend Maria. Maria, I love you so much. I'm so sorry. I actually thought this was going to be good because it was by Kristen Hanna. So I was very excited. I was very excited to read this book, like read something different by her. It just wasn't it. It wasn't it for me. It wasn't a book for me. It's about these two sisters, and we kind of follow their two lives, essentially. And they're both brought to this small town because one is a child psychologist, and the other one is like the town sheriff or town police officer. And there's like a little girl who is found in the woods, and she's wild. I can't remember what the term for it is. Like she grew up in the wild, so she doesn't have social skills or mannerisms that, you know, if the child was socialized and brought up in society would have. And so these two sisters have to, you know, the sheriff is trying to figure out, like, investigate and find this girl's parents, find out where she came from, who did this to her. And this child psychologist is trying to also find out kind of the same thing, but like through like talking to her and exercises that she has done. And both of them have, like, both sisters have like a past and like things that they're trying to overcome while they're doing this. But what I just didn't really enjoy about the book was like just some of the social things that I know that since it was written in like the mid 2000s that it just would have, because that's how society was at the time and didn't really care. There was a lot of like just fat phobia throughout the book that I just was like, let it freaking go. There's a lot of homophobia that I thought that was just like not needed, especially since the character that they were giving homophobic vibes to wasn't even gay. So it was kind of like, what are we doing here? It was just kind of like also just really like a lot of repetition for a very long book. Like there was one, I guess for example, like they go back to the small town that they both grew up in. And it is referenced so many times that they are in this small town. They're in a small town. We're back in a small town. I live in a small town. Well, this thing's happened in a small town. And it's like, okay. I also, you know, went to school in a small town. I grew up surrounded by small towns. I know what a freaking small town is like. And I'm sure even those who are reading, who don't have any experience or exposure to a small town, get the point. We get the point, okay? It's a small town. So that was a little bit of a disappointment. Another disappointment was Heart-Shaped Box. I think I might have talked about this on my channel a little bit. I read this for my work book club. It was supposed to be like a thriller, horror kind of thing, and it was a bummer. Not gonna lie, it was just like really not great. I did not like it at all. I don't even remember how to describe it. It's like an old rocker dude who buys a suit that ends up being a ghost, and he's haunted by this ghost for the whole book. Just not my cup of tea, you know? Biggest surprise this year, I would say it was Shrill. Hands down, by Lindy West, I think, which I still need to finish the season finale, or the final season of Shrill. But I've had Shrill on my want to read, like on my Goodreads forever, and something that I've been doing during the pandemic, which I think I've referenced so many times. So again, sorry, now I'm pulling magic hour on you with the repetition, but I have been trying to do this thing where since I'm like listening to audiobooks now, like I'll like reverse order of my Goodreads want to read, and I'll try to get through some of the books I've had on there for like, 4 years. And Shrill has been one of them that I've just been like not really picking up, just keep scrolling by, just because I didn't really think I was gonna like it. I was like, whatever, I don't really know why I put it on here. It's so old, I don't really want to read it. But finally I was like, whatever, let's just like try it out. I could check it out from my library app, Libby, very quickly. And so I tried it, and it was so good. Shrill is so funny. It was so like witty and like quick. I don't know if that was me snapping was supposed to mean that, but it was really a really good time. I thought she brought up some really great points. I think Lindy. I thought she brought up really good points because she worked in television, she worked in comedy, she had worked in the editorial scene, like she worked for a magazine and she wrote, stories. And so she had a lot of exposure to different like media, and a lot of criticism came after her because of being a woman and being a plus size fat woman, and how she had to like grapple with that and deal with that on a daily basis was just, really interesting and intriguing to hear about, which I don't think you have to be like a fat woman or a woman of a bigger size to ever experience any of those things, because society has such a big grip on like our point of view or our view of our bodies that I think always are criticizing ourselves. So some of the things I was like, yeah, I've caught myself in that cycle as well. And so it was just really, really, really good to hear. And also just her like comedic, like tone to some of it just really added to like, helped me like really resonate with it. It was just kind of like, I found myself like, at the time I was like, doing this like running program, and it was like, okay, I can get through this run because I know I'm gonna be like laughing half the time anyways. So it was a really good time. One of the parts that really resonated with me a lot was like, she talked about how she was like in this diet program, and it was like her and like all of these like moms who are white, already skinny, trying to lose 5 pounds. And it was like her and then like one other man who was actually fat, in this program. And like all these women are just bitching about, not being able to lose 2 pounds. And she was sitting there and like, her and this man, I think that it was either her or the other dude were like, yeah, I can't, I've been doing everything you're telling me to do. Like, I'm not losing the weight. And like the instructor or whatever was like, well, have you tried, if you're hungry, why don't you just try eating an almond? One almond, or an apple. And it was like so funny. Like I can't even begin to like describe or tell you how like what Lindy West's like internal reaction to that was, because it was so funny. But it was mainly just like, if I am hungry, I don't want a fucking almond. An almond will not suppress my hunger. It won't, and it's not doing me any favors. It was just hilarious. And it was also like, you don't think I've tried just eating one almond? It was just like, obviously it was just so funny. So many things. But I digress. But I really enjoyed Shrill, so I highly recommend it. And it was really fast and easy to get through on audiobook. Okay, so my fave new author for 2021, this wasn't very hard, Isabel Wilkerson. I finally read Warmth of Other Suns at the end of 2020 and into 2021. Loved it. Obviously, I loved Cass because it was the best book I've read so far. And so she is just hands down one of my favorite authors right now. Like, if she put out like a pamphlet, I'd want to read it. Like, she's so good at putting together her words and like just the information putting together. I think writing nonfiction, it has to be hard because you have to make it interesting and captivating, but also like you have to make sure you're including all the factual information. And it's just like, I just thought she did so good. So she's hands down my favorite. My newest fictional crush. I don't really get like crushes on the characters in my books. Like I don't really, I'm I hope I'm pretty good. I think. I shouldn't say I hope, because there's no worries. I have a crush on Loki right now, so that's weird. But I don't know what it is about books, but like I don't like, there's like this like, when I close a book, I don't really like, there's no connection to me and the characters, which I don't know, maybe that's bad, maybe there should be. But if I had to say, I thought about this for a little bit, I guess, was in the Sharks in the Time of Saviors, there was like this older brother. He was the brother of the guy, like he didn't have any magic powers essentially, but he was like this like basketball star, going to college, kind of cocky, but seemed just like a good time. Like I would like be like, yeah, that was at a bar and I want to have a drink with him. Like he just seemed really cool and like also like kind of like a bad boy, but like, you know, he had like a soft, like he had a soft side to him too. So it's like, you know, how could I resist? And he just like seemed like he would be hot, you know? I was like, okay, I'm into that. So that would be my crush if I had to pick one. My newest favorite character, I read, oh my God, what is it called? An Elderly Lady is Up to No Good. And I don't remember what her name is, but she was my favorite character. She was just badass. She was just old lady doing her thing, doing crimes, getting away with it, and really just living her best life. Truly. So, favorite character. That's who well, aside from the criminal activity, that's who I want to be when I'm 80. Book that made you cry. So I don't know if a lot of books really made me cry this year, which is interesting, but a book that did make me really tear up and cry was Voices from Chernobyl. We get really like, so Voices from Chernobyl, I think I have a book review coming out soon, or if it's out already, I can link it below, but it really just, the author went around and interviewed people that were affected by Chernobyl and pretty much just transcribed what they said to her. And there was like 2 of them that really like just hurt. There was 2 young women who had recently just gotten married and their husbands died from the nuclear or the radiation from Chernobyl. And it was like, obviously not a fun like death. Well, death's never fun, but it was like not an easy thing to watch, and especially if you're watching a loved one go through. And it was just like, just devastating, because I'm getting married in the fall, and I can't imagine like starting my life with my new husband. You know, we're happy, we're so in love, we're just so happy. Like both of these women were just over the moon in love with these men. Like just, you know, like where you're out with your group of friends and there's that one couple that's just so in love with each other and like gross, but like, you know, in a good way. You know, they're just taken from them, you know, prematurely, and it was just so hard to read. So that definitely made me cry. Book that made you happy, probably Always Only You or Only Us, Always Only Us. Those 2 books really actually just put a smile on my face, especially Always Only You. I think I really liked that better than the first one, but it just made me happy seeing these 2 come together. And like I said before, like it was just romance was really nice during the pandemic, still is, but like it was just was a nice distraction and really just warmed my heart. Most beautiful book you've bought so far this year. So I don't really buy books, and I don't know if I have really any. Oh, okay. I actually kind of think this book is pretty. I bought Anna Karenina because the Stacks podcast read it, and I've been reading it since April, and I really have not gotten anywhere. But I thought that this was a really beautiful portrait of Anna Karenina on the book, and I just thought it was really pretty. And it's actually a book I bought this year, so bought through Bookshop. I'll link it below. If you're looking for something other than Amazon to buy your books, because we all know you don't need 2 days, okay? You're not gonna read it, clearly. You're not gonna finish it, so you don't need to rush. What books do you need to read by the end of the year? Every year I think I answer the same. I'm trying to do the Reading Women Challenge this year and actually finish it. So, all of those books, I guess. But I have some books in my lap that I have to finish because I checked them out from the library, minus Anna Karenina. Well, actually minus 2 books. So I would like to finish Anna Karenina by the end of the year. And then I'm also trying to read Lead from the Outside by Stacey Abrams for work, like just professional development. So we'll see. Something to talk about, The Undying by Anne Breuer, Anxious People, and Black Book. I'm trying to finish, and The Prophets. So you can see why I'm like freaking out a little bit, because I'm like, fuck. I went to the library and I just kept pulling books off the shelf, and I was like, this is not an actual retainable goal that you're putting towards yourself. But I just kept going, and you know, here we are. Really, truly, here we are. So, cool. Well, that's it. That's it for my mid-year freakout tag. That was the end of the questions. And I really do need to go because I need to read, clearly. So, thank you so much for joining. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please hit that like button and subscribe if you have not already. And I will see you guys next time.